My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, welcome back. Today, zooming in from Chicago, Illinois, we have a very accomplished real estate entrepreneur, LeVar Love, who is doing something kind of different. He's doing flipping in a very community-focused way. So LeVar, welcome to the show. And remind me, what do you call this? It's community development is what you call it. But when you're explaining it to me, it's kind of like doing flips with the help of your local community government. Is that a little bit of a synopsis there?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of set the framework up. It's a situation where I am a local community developer. So the way we explain it is that we are improving the community by creating affordable housing, just with a partner. The city is a partner. So we work hand in hand with the Department of Housing. Yeah.
So how does that work? Kind of unwrap this for me so I can get my pea brain around this. So how does it start? Like where do you start when you're doing a deal? Are you doing one property at a time? Are you doing multiple properties? Walk me through it.
Sure. Yeah, no, so great. So how the program is developed, I guess I would start there. So it's a program called the Neighborhood Rebuild Program. It was launched by the Department of Housing in the city of Chicago. And it's a situation where they identify what they call high capacity developers. So individuals who have a portfolio of properties that they have renovated, rehabbed, so forth and so on, and sold. So you actually have to have a portfolio where you sold. Once they realize
So
that you
they're
meet
looking for
that,
successful flippers to translate
yes.
it into
Yeah.
real estate speak. Got it. Successful flippers. Got it.
Bingo. Great call out. So they're looking for successful flippers. And then you kind of go through like a small training program where they identify uh, targeted areas that they want individuals in the program to attack. So we do sometimes this thing called super blocks, where 3 or 4 developers will go into a 3 or 4 block area. We'll get 2 or 3 properties each and just start working on them, kind of knocking them out, rehabbing them, things like that. So it allows you to kind of go into an area knowing that, hey, even if you don't get, your maximum return on that first property, you'll be here for the next, 6 months, 12, 18 months. And maybe, on that second property, that third property, you really get a turn. The properties in the area have appreciated, things of that nature. So really
Oh,
beneficial
very
program
interesting.
for the community as well as the investor.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So basically the city's saying, hey, here's this area that we want this to happen in. We want to
Mhm.
revitalize this neighborhood. And you and several other people that are part of the program that have experience doing flips each buy several houses on that block. And you go about rehabbing them and selling them. And at the same time, you're naturally forcing up the value of the properties because you're revitalizing the neighborhood as you're doing these kind of flips. So I guess the question that comes to mind is, who owns these properties in the first place? Are these city owned typically, or how
Sure.
does that work?
So that's one of the great things about the program. So it can be there's several different aspects of it. We have a Cook County land bank. So the city of Chicago is in the county of Cook. There are hundreds of properties that the Cook County Land Bank own, and you can acquire from the Cook County Land Bank. There's sometimes an intermediary. The city of Chicago doesn't purchase properties per se. There's an intermediary that goes in targeted areas and acquires a property, and then we purchase them from that intermediary, as well as what I love about it is that there's also a reverse referral program. So there's a situation where if say you're in that area, one of the areas that they want to target, and you know a couple of properties, you got a couple of deals, you can go back to the city and say, hey, I think this is a great opportunity to be a part of this program. And then they'll let you submit your scope and ARV and after repair value and things of that nature. And if the deal pencils, they'll let you submit that project to the program. So it's a lot of opportunity, and they provide a lot of avenues for entry into the program and to be successful.
Okay, so where's the big benefit for you as and the other guys as professional flippers in doing this? Like what's the
Sure.
value that you guys get out of this program? Is it the ability to buy properties cheaper than you might be able to otherwise? Is it preferable financing? Is it what is it? Like what's in it for you for doing this?
Sure. So initially, well, the initial, I've been in it since 2018, 19-ish. And the benefit back then, I don't know if you remember what the market was like in the US. It was
Well, not in
hard to find
Chicago.
property. Yeah, so it was hard to find a property.
Okay.
It was much like many other areas. The values were appreciating, and the demand was so high. So there wasn't the deal flow out there. So when we partnered with this program, or you went into this program, they kind of had a stockhold of properties, right? So the Cook County Land Bank or the intermediaries had properties that you could go out and bid on, and it was easier to get properties through them than on the MLS at the time.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
was the first initial benefit. As the program has grown, there have been financing partners that came on where you can get pretty good product for these type of properties to do the rehab that's better than hard money if you're out there using hard money. As well as most recently in the last year, there's been a partnership with the Department of Building to help kind of assist once they identify that you're part of that program, making sure that your permit applications get looked at in a timely fashion.
Mm.
You still go through the normal process, but it's a situation where, hey, it's like, hey, this is a part of a program that's working with the city to put, affordable housing back in the communities, things of that nature. So it does have its benefits.
So are you obligated to sell the properties for a certain price? Like, are there parameters there, or is it just kind of
Yeah.
fair market?
So there are parameters. It's basically the average median income. But what I would tell you is that it's for these neighborhoods, it's I've never had to take a cut on the price, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and if you think about what we're doing from the super block concept, looking to do the forced appreciation,
Mhm.
we're getting the property values up to that amount. So, but there is at the end of the day, right? If the price values went up so high, there would be a cap on it because we are attempting to provide some affordable housing as well.
So just to kind of paint a picture for me, am I'm assuming that these properties are in pretty rundown type neighborhoods initially, and the city really just kind of wants to revitalize, like you're calling it a super block. So it's trying to revitalize that part of the community block by block. Am I getting
So
my head or not? Not necessarily.
necessarily. I'll be honest
Interesting.
with you. It's kind of like it just really depends on the pocket. So when it all started, the name of some of these names have changed a little bit, but when it started, there was an initiative called the Micro Markets Recovery Program. But it was partnered with a commercial corridor that they wanted to revitalize.
Yeah.
So in some of the areas, you'd go in, like one of the most familiar to me that had this situation in the Austin community. So that was actually a community that I grew up in. And when we went in Austin, it was like
So are you talking
the
about Austin, Texas, or is there an Austin
no,
in,
no, no.
in Chicago?
Great call. Yeah. No, so this is actually a neighborhood in the city of Chicago called
Got it.
Austin. So when I first got into the program and we were looking at projects in Austin, Austin was like an up and coming neighborhood. Everything was thriving. And there was a major corridor that they wanted to revitalize from a commercial standpoint. So it was part of the micro markets recovery program. So it's not necessarily always the most blighted and worst areas. Now, don't get me wrong, we picked up some properties that were in areas that really needed a turnaround, needed some jump from economy and things of that nature. But yeah, so there's some gems out there too.
Yeah. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. So what do you like about this program and what's not so great about it? Because it can't always be sunshine and flowers. So what are the big
Never.
pros to it and what are some of the negatives?
Yeah. So for me, and I have to preface this because I was one of the guinea pigs.
Oh,
So when
okay.
I came into the program, it was a pilot program.
Yeah.
So there weren't a lot of necessarily identified processes and things of that nature of kind of, how things flowed and what you needed to do from one step to the next step.
Yeah.
And what I would say is that over the years, the individuals that run the program, the commissioners, things like that, they have been so receptive to feedback, which you don't usually get from a municipality. You
No,
don't,
you
right?
don't. Yeah.
It's like you
Especially
struggle.
something one the size of Chicago. Yeah, that's
Right.
something else. Yeah.
So they were very receptive. The processes have improved over the years. The property stock, for lack of a better word, has continued to get better. And we could all like so in 2023, I was able to acquire 4 properties at one time, all in a nice range. And some of them, the areas already had 2 of them. The areas already had good after repair values in the area. So those have really been the benefits. What I would say is that the biggest opportunity is that if anybody knows that over the last year or two, when you were working in the city of Chicago, permitting was a problem. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you would wait 3 to 6 months for a permit, and you
Wow.
had to take that into consideration, right? So, and all of these projects happen in the city of Chicago. So that's why in the last 12 months they really put a task force together basically to kind of help uh, move the permitting process along for individuals in the program.
And what's not so great about the whole program, even with the permitting getting improving there? Is there anything else that's kind of not so fun about this or
So if I would say the lowest hanging fruit or the biggest headache is that permitting process.
yeah.
Because you got to think on your typical if you're an experienced flipper and you're trying to get in and out, like you're talking six to 9 months. But if you got to wait 6 months just for the permit,
Yeah.
it's like that holding cost and things associated with that. The longer you have the property, the more things that happen, the more things
Yeah.
that can get messed up, right? So that really was kind of a sticking point and a pain point for most of the developers in the program.
Yeah, because it's taken twice as long as it should, right? Basically,
Exactly.
a normal
And
flip.
time is money.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and that's really cool though, LeVar. I can see why you're excited about this. So, what kind of volume of deals do you do with the city with this program typically? Like
Yeah.
annually,
So
let's say.
yeah. So right now we're up at where we're kind of doing acquisition and disposition of 3 to 4 properties a year in this program.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. With an average sale price of somewhere between 250 to 300,000.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And you're able to get them for about how much?
So, so you know what? I probably should have mentioned this too. That's one of the great parts of the program. So, uh, depending on the area and things like that, you kind of it's based on how much work needs to be done.
Hmm.
So, you almost dictate the price in a certain range.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so, and that's where the subsidies come in for the program. So, what they look at is that they're taking into account that, hey, you're one of our trusted developers. If you provide us a scope of work and you say it's going to cost this much, then we're going to respect that. We're going to respect that, right? And
Mhm.
then they will provide a subsidy for acquisition. So sometimes I've gotten a subsidy of $40,000, $50,000 on acquisition for a property because maybe they didn't see something when their acquisition team was out buying a property or things of that nature. So.
Hmm. Very cool. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for kind of unwrapping this, LeVar, and explaining how it works. Exciting stuff. So, what are your plans with this or your real estate investing business in general over the next 12 months or so? We're coming into 2025 right now. What are your big plans for the new year?
Sure. So what I found is, well, we actually just bought a new location. It's a 7,000 square foot commercial building from the Cook County Land Bank. That'll be our new office, as well as kind of where our construction teams will work out of and things of that nature. That space is actually an opportunity zone. So we're in over the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to launch an opportunity zone fund, and we're going to seek to basically do about 25 units over the next 5 years in that opportunity zone area. So that'll be a
Residential
part
units or
of course.
commercial units?
Yeah, so the first one we acquired as a commercial unit is just simply because we need the space as
Got
we
it.
as we grow our capacity and things of that nature. But after that, in this same zip code, we're going to focus on the same thing, our bread and butter right now, either 1 to 4 unit buildings in this area that are affordable housing through Opportunity Zone funding. Yeah.
Very cool. Have you done much in that and raising private capital in the past, LeVar?
Yeah, so I actually did a lot of private money deals back when I started. So I worked through kind of going to the conferences that Equity Trust would have, things of that nature. I got several investors kind of through that and did private money deals, as well as when I started out using hard money as well.
Very good. So now you're going up to the next level and starting your own fund. That's great. That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's something that we're looking forward to, and we think it will be a great opportunity for us.
Excellent. So, LeVar, if people would like to connect with you and find out more about this program and maybe about your fund, where should they go?
They should go to rosieinvestment.com. So you'll be able to see the projects that we're working on, before pictures, after pictures. It's a great website to understand kind of what community development looks like, and maybe an opportunity for some investor out there to get started in community development.
There must be a story behind the name of your company. Tell me where that came from.
So Rosie Investment Corporation. So my grandmother, so I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandmother's name is Rosetta Love.
Nice.
So I had to pay homage to her. I got so much wisdom from my grandparents, and my grandmother just kind of meaning the world to me. So,
oh, that's awesome. LeVar, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for being on the show.
Dave, thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.